What's good? It's us. We don't do the animation. I finally remembered we don't do that for bonus content. But yeah, we're doing the episode 36 bonus content. We're back to one of our old ideas. We're going to be talking about the best memory spend you can have in the Digimon card game. This is part 3. So if you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, they're already up for the public. There will be some rules on it, and if you can kind of blag your way to the play being 4 memory for in this instance, then it counts as 4 memory. So obviously 4 play costs, 4 evolution cost, a 5 that gains back 1, that's 4, you know, basic arithmetic. That's what we're going to be going through today. We've already pre-looked at a couple of them, so we're not going to be super rambling, but we're going to cover some pretty much just from all across the board. There'll be some unorthodox picks and some pretty fun picks, presumably. Fellas, what are we thinking?
It's a funny one because we talked about this way long ago. The last time we did one of these, that we're the lot closer you get to that bigger the investment in memory, the bigger the return on memory. And 4 is I think the start of that, where it's I think we talked about it with the start of main gain of memory tamers back with the 3 cost one, but 4 is most mem setters. So maybe we just start with that and talk about or at least rip the band-aid off so that we don't just spend the whole time being yeah, technically they're infinite memory if a game goes for infinite turns.
I think we can still
all mem setters.
Yeah, I do agree that all mem setters, but beyond the mem setters, I think some mem setters are just straight up better than others. And then when you look at, say, for example, a basic example would be
Mimi, right?
No, I was going to compare things to Mimi. I was going to say, sure. I was going to say TK, BT what one BT1 yeah. TK. It's a one-time cash in on a card, right? It just goes +1. So you get to look at your security, you get full information on what's there, and you get to add back a piece. Usually, unless you're cheating it out, subsequent TKs will be they will have diminishing returns. I think the first TK is incredibly strong, and then anything after that, unless you're somehow cheating it out, I don't think it's as good. And especially well, there was an argument to make that back in the day, old Digimon, the card was much more potent, but now I feel most decks are playing maybe 2 copies of TK, if that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you peek into your security a lot, and there's a lot of recovery and stuff like that. So I was gonna say, do you actually do you actually need to see as many times? But yeah, you probably do, because you're recovering, picking stuff out, recovering, picking stuff out. You're changing the order up a lot. But then again, half the cards that are doing this blind recovery stuff and taking stuff out of your security are refreshing it. So yeah, it kind of goes both ways, whereas you're messing with security a lot rather than just blind recovering. So you get to see security a lot more. But I don't know.
I think
it's also a really important name. He's not a bozo tamer. He is
yeah, he is one of the best names, if not the best name in the game, I think.
Yeah. Him or Ty, maybe.
I was gonna say Kari.
No, I would say TK.
No, I think TK's because TK gets to steal the broken stuff for the Armadillo one. Yeah, the Veemon cards are good, I get it, but Revelation is kind of the payoff for Kari. TK has Emissary is, we talked about it, for 1 cost. If they keep printing good vaccines, Emissary is hypothetically infinite value. So it gets kind of stupid. I want to point something out here, because when we talked about doing this last night, I went through my notes from the first ones, and something we talked a little bit about that we haven't had a chance to talk about with tamers yet. I think TK is the first tamer we're going to include on this with recovery. Recovery is conceptually as good as any card you can recover it. So this is a 4-cost mem setter that gives you infinite memory over the turns. And let's say you recover to top a Zwart defeat, you add that cost. I know that's tangential relation, but we counted D-Reaper. So that's a lot of tangential relation. I just think it's recovery is as good as every card that does something out of security. And you have to assume it's you rank it from 0 to 10, right? Or actually, how much is the most memory you can get out of all delete is a 10 cost option? Are there any higher cost options?
I think no, there's a couple of them that are, I think, a bit more.
There's also Zwart defeat and stuff too. Gypped Cannon is 10. But my point is it's recovery is broken in the context of using it to cheat memory because you don't pay for things out of security. So TK is about as variable as a mem setter can be in terms of memory he gives you, because like you start at mem setter cheekiness where we just have to go like, yes, all mem setters are hypothetically insane, and then you then add the, well, you know, there are only so many times that you can hit a security in yellow and not have it do something.
I was gonna say, I think like one of the cards that is like comparable but sort of like in a different spectrum. Oh my god, random pop in joining the Boko midway.
He's the assist trophy.
I'm so sorry. I was watching Full Metal Alchemist.
Full
I'm
Metal
actually serious.
Alchemist.
I thought we weren't doing this today. I thought we weren't doing this for a bit. I was downstairs. I look at my phone. Jambo, get the fucking Boko. Ah! I'm so sorry.
It's good.
Anyway.
We missed that we said we're doing the best 4 memory you can spend, and all mem setters are infinite memory.
You missed TK. We started
And
off
you
with
missed
TK.
TK.
One
Is
thing
that
I will
good,
say is to just to mog on TK a little bit. I've seen him lose people games. If you're playing not straight yellow, like TK's a really good pick in some off, like not fully dedicated yellow list. I've seen TK pick up the non-yellow security and cause them to burn for game. It's
I
really
tried TK
funny.
and Davis for a while. It was not worth it.
Yeah, so like recovery is cool and all, but sometimes as well he can be an active detriment. Quite funny.
I would say like I think out of I'm gonna rip the band-aid off, right? I'm gonna go straight to other opposite side of the spectrum, and the other tamer that I think is probably the best for cost tamer in the whole game, right next to TK, Mimi Tachikawa. This card is ridiculous. It's like, I think it is by far the best like 4 cost tamer, and it's not even close. And you might be like, oh, but this card doesn't do like that much. And to that I say, well, have you ever like played against it? Like I've like topped regionals, I've like won events on the back of this card. This card has been like my super glue, okay? Mimi basically changes the dynamic that like green has into every other deck. Any deck that is like say for example you're playing plant and you're playing against like a control heavy deck that wants to like delete all of your stuff, Mimi completely changes the dynamic of the matchup, because now you have all the initiative to promote first. Tap Mimi, start building a stack in the back. You then put your opponent in a checkmate position. Either you deal with what's on board first and then you'll die from it, or if you don't deal with if you don't deal with it, you die. If you deal with it and raise, then I have the follow-up to kill you, and like you're still on nothing. The card is like, it just polarizes a ton of matchups. The game is now like a little bit better in terms of like catching up to Mimi because of like scrambles and like decks that can like free play and whatnot. But for a long time, like green's like budget was like all on Mimi. Like if your deck ran Mimi, your deck was insane. Any disagreements? Any HPD?
No, I think the only thing I don't agree with in that, because I totally think of like when I think of crazy mem setters, I think Mimi, but I don't think she's the strongest for like the specific wording of 4 cost tamer. I think she's maybe the best mem setter. I don't think she's the best 4 cost tamer. I think there's stuff like Marcus now.
No, I don't think
that like Marcus like we're talking about like an infinite period of like how much memory can something generate. Marcus can generate memory every time.
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Costs. Sorry, BT 12 Marcus.
He's a 5 cost tamer.
12 12 is the
No. What I'm saying is that like you play him for 4
sure.
and then you have to pay the 1. So like he doesn't actually produce like, well, you have to like
actually.
No, that's a good point. I'll take that as criticism.
Yeah, at the point of you spending 4, he doesn't do anything.
How dare I discuss that?
No. The other thing I would have picked that I actually think is a stronger mem setter than Mimi in context. It's not splashable and everything, but like when I think of like this card is disgusting, is BT 12 Takuya. That's the most egregious mem setter I've ever read in my life. That card is memory up front, memory out back, DP on the side, a little bit of ketchup with your salt and fries. It's disgusting. This card does everything.
I think like if I think of Marcus in the same way that I think of like Ko and Sayo, of like this is a card that like lets you like it's like a ramp card, right? But it doesn't
Marcus,
really like I think like Ko and Sayo and Marcus like have like a similar function, but they don't change the way that the whole color gets to play their matchups.
I don't know.
But we're not assessing the card on its strength. We're assessing it on its memory, right? So
Yeah,
it's like
'cause-
just in memory efficiency, like how much is like there are now ways to reset your Digi Egg deck, so you could have an infinite amount of Mimi value finally. But we have to be able to quantify that. And like, is there another like Louis costs 3?
Yeah,
so
like
each
Louis
Mimi
costs,
usage is 3 memory.
Louis Loki
Well,
costs 2.
Yeah, Louis
Yeah.
costs 2, and also it's like a one-time thing. Like you have to find follow-up Louis, which
Yeah,
they
that's
get better
true.
with each
I'm
other.
just thinking of
They
like
get,
the
they get better with
actual-
each other.
Like we have to think of like I'm trying to not to the legal. It's good that Jambo's here because we can League of Legends this. It's like, you know, like what is the cheapest item in the league store that costs the least gold, and that's how you determine the cost of a stat, right? And so
But if
Mimi doesn't have a comparison.
if I'm going to slam a tamer for 4 and I slam Mimi, I feel great because I just know that like this is the best 4 memory that I can spend in my green deck. Like up front, turn 1 rookie Mimi, I'm feeling like $1,000,000.
Or even like turn 2, like after you've made one
Even turn
action.
2.
It's really weird because like it depends. I feel like it depends on when you spend the 4, because like we kind of said that like TK has diminishing returns as you get multiple of them down. Mimi objectively, once you have 2, you like you have a 0 cost. You have like a 0 cost Louis every turn because you can just do the fucking conga line.
This isn't even like Mimi doesn't like. Let's say you're playing like turns 3, 4 honors. Obviously, this is in the context of a deck that can play something like Togemon.
Yeah.
But then like you can still like use Togemon to play the Mimi. So like technically you're paying like 1 for it, but you're still getting the value from suspending to hatch or raise.
And this is what I'm saying. I think we have to quantify what that's worth, because I think, yes, that feels great, but like mathematically, I don't think you're getting as much. Like if we're saying hatching costs 2, right? Because like, or sorry, a promote costs 2, because that's how much Louis costs to do it. You get that exact amount from Takuya.
But if we're going off of mathematics, then like, well, why are people not playing 1 cost evils anymore? Like on paper, choking your opponent to warn on turn 1 is like.
Because
it's not about just
gone up over time. That's why.
Yeah, it's not just
Mimi
about how little you're spending. It's about what you get for the little that you spend. And so for 4, Takuya can give you 2 and then 2 and then 2 and then 2 and then 2. And then Mimi can do that. And then you have to recycle your eggs. That's my point.
But with Takuya, you spend, unless you're cheating it out, like, okay, you slam it for 4, you then get the 2, but then like the opponent has to interact with the tamer. And like the thing that they're interacting with has to then float back into like the Takuya to feel like it's worth it. If they just like bounce your Digimon and then like you don't get your on deletions or whatever, unless you like now Red Hybrid has ways to like get it back. But for a long time, like that Takuya was like effectively like gone.
Well, we're not even talking about the context of a game. Like that's the thing. Like this is a world where BT12 Takuya is never answered, and my opponent has 50,000 security because they go infinite.
Well, if we're not talking about the game, then you slam the Takuya. Unless you're playing a Red Hybrid deck, you're not getting value off of the Takuya. It's a mem setter.
I know, that's what I mean. So like all mem setters already are broken, and then you have to talk about like what is their like hypothetical dream scenario.
Well, I guess one of it
Mimi is broader than Takuya. Takuya is more specialized and more broken in his thing.
Yeah, that's what. So the example you said was like, oh, with Mimi, like you're saying like if we're not doing the game, then Takuya doesn't work outside of a game. Like in the game, like you have to be playing a Red Hybrid
No,
deck.
I'm saying like you can have your cake and eat it too when you're talking about like the best possible outcome, right? So in my best possible outcome, I'm playing Red Hybrid, I've got a Takuya, and it never gets answered, and I check security forever. That 1 copy of Takuya can print like 7,000 memory.
I guess, but another option to look at it is like in theory, Takuya facilitates 2 damage because you evolve into your hybrid, you swing, you hit security, you get exactly that memory back basically. So you effectively get 1 check and then you get to evolve a different hybrid. So that's like technically Takuya represents 2 damage with the memory that he's refunding and using as part of his cost.
The context for it, yeah.
Mimi is also the same. As soon as like she sets you to 3, you can evolve into a 5. Now you match the Mimi like tempo and you get a second stack going. Or if you have a 5 out, it's pushing out a 3 stack and Mimi facilitates 2 damage. So whilst their applications are different, they still, like in terms of advancing the game state, one of them advances in the very green way, which is multiple bodies hit multiple times, whereas Takuya, by kind of being that red deck, is like 1 stack hits, but now you can make the second stack, which is really interesting. I think also like as we went through the games, we kind of looked at what's your immediate value versus like supplementary value, because like a tamer that has an on play is like a 4 cost memory. It's like I spent 4 and stuff is happening, as opposed to sometimes I spent 4 and next turn you'll see why I spent this 4, which is really interesting because something like Analog Man obviously, you know, glues Machine Dramon together, but like Analog Man on the turn it comes down doesn't do anything, whereas something like KnTElixar we've seen can print 200 million memory from both its on play and then every subsequent turn has a main. I think like if we're talking about longevity as well as instant value, the fact that KnTElixar is an on play main makes it
Yeah.
maybe just like pound for pound the best memory setter, because it, if it never gets answered, is a 0 cost evolve every single turn. And
Yeah.
on play could be a 0 cost evolve. It can be an extension. It can turn something into removal that then turns into further extension. I think just where we are in the game right now, on play main tamers have more value than something that's only on play or only start of main, something like that.
Well,
I
think
think.
of, like-
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I think like on play main, that's like very specific. I think like that is like the reason why KnTElixar is so strong is because it does
Yeah.
get both effects, and there's not like a ton of tamers that have as much like value as something like that. I would argue that like Sora.
Marcus? Yeah,
is-
Sora or
I was
Marcus
gonna
were
say
who
that.
I had.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
bro.
Sora is another great choice.
Fuck's
All right,
sake.
Sora
Jambo.
is as good
All
as
right,
that
Jambo.
expensive stuff.
Jambo, take it to Sora.
Well, Sora's
on.
insane. So majority of the time, you're not even paying 4 for it because you're cheating off different effects. You're cheating off Garuda Age. You're cheating off Wings of Love. Then also, all times, it can then recycle itself back to its hands, then convert it to a big fucking body with a broken on point, which most of the time the on point is going to be play it back. So you just start creating this resource sweep of like a lot of on-deletion bodies that can't really be answered, because if you do, you go plus 19, and then if they're not answered, you just get through more free damage with them. And also, it's just a mem setter. So
But-
you're
Yeah.
fixed for memory return, you're fixed for your combo return, and then it goes on from there. It just escalates into like, oh, I'll cheat out an 11 cost level 6, I'll cheat out an 8 cost 5, I'll cheat out a Garuda Ace which plays it back, and I'll do Garuda Ace effect to pop a guy, and then Sora effect to bounce it again, and then play another Garuda Ace, play another. It just extends out to this broken little combo.
Counterpoint.
It is. I think it is like I'd probably say it's on the things that like KnTElixar are trying to do. I think Sora does that to like the extreme, because you get to use it like multiple times in the turn.
Yeah, that's fair. One thing I will say though, you know, I've just got it one second. I've just got to channel the Digicur for a second. Bro. Forecast tamer, so slow, man. So slow.
So
Maybe Garuda Ace is the best for memory, because Garuda Ace plays the body. Maybe Sora
You know,
cringe
it
for
gets you
memory
4
cost.
memory back.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because there are a couple aces I wanted to talk about here.
Oh,
I don't think we're gonna. I don't.
Before we
I don't
move
know
on
if we're. I don't
to-
think if we can get to a conclusion on tamers. I think it's good that we all had different ideas, but like I think it really is dependent on like the context. Because I just think like because we're talking about a world where this is just it's devoid of all like you have exactly the in 100% you have complete control over all the variables. How much can this produce? Just like we did with all the other numbers. I don't think there is a way to quantify like. Regardless, all mem setters make infinite memory.
yeah.
So even if we figure out a way to quantify how much Mimi is worth, how many attacks you can get with Takuya, how much you can save on evolving with KnTElixar, and how many birds you can spit out with Sora, the problem is they're all already infinite.
Yeah.
So we
Before we
actually can't get like math doesn't work that way. We can't do infinity plus 70.
I think like we could like I think the opposite of like these tamers that print infinite memory is like Izzy, BT15 Izzy, because like he is just a mem setter, and like his thing is not to like plus you, but it's like analog, right? It's like how the card doesn't have an on play, it doesn't have like a main, it has like an opponent's turn, and it's like, is Izzy better than Analog Man? I would say yes. But Izzy has like, well, Analog Man scales better because like it's like filtering your deck, Whereas
Yeah.
like Izzy is like an immediate like threat almost to the opponent.
It is technically the fastest non-on-play tamer to have an
Yeah.
effect on the game, which is
I would say like Izzy is like the opposite of these other cards that like get all this value. And then like I think like the last tamer that I would say is like that has like all this like infinite like almost like value is, I mean, it's obviously like BT2 Matt.
okay.
Like,
yeah,
We
add
have
back
all
anything purple. I have another 3 tamers, but we can't just do tamers.
okay. We can't just do tamers. So before we move on to aces, we've got to shout out our Hall of Famers, 2 gay dads. Davis and Ken might also still be the best 4 memory in the game.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that.
Davis pass. Oh, I guess that's what
like I scrolled a little bit too far and then just saw like the little bit of their heads popping up and scroll back up again. It's like, we talk about this, we're not going to move on. But yeah, Davis and Ken, yeah, might actually also be one of the best 4. It does everything. It does so much that people forget what the actual like Imperial Dramon cards do, because half the effects are on these little criminals.
It's technically a mem setter, right? Because like
they're actually better
body.
than mem setters because they give you 3 instead of 2.
I've seen
no, they give you 4.
Well, yeah, they can give you 4, but like literally just at start of main as opposed to start of turn, like you immediately get more value again because it's hypothetical perfect scenario.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
It's just like
because you like I've seen an Imperial with a Davis with 3 memory not be able to full combo, where I've seen Davis and Ken under double Emperor rookie in the back go, yeah, I think I can kill you from here, and you do just sometimes die. It's horrible. Yeah, so these we've got to throw in the Hall of Famers before we now finally turn off the tamer tag and start talking about
Digimon.
Man, I love ace cards.
Can I give you guys the same again, but as an ace?
What, Garuda?
It's Magna Angemon. Because again, recovery is hypothetically infinitely valuable no matter what you recover.
I think there's one ace that I think like one 4-cost ace that is better than all the other ones. And that's Zudo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he can recover anything, or so he can remove anything hypothetically.
Yeah, because like he's like better in the sense like he beats all the other aces to start off with, because like
he's
the only one that will go band for band with every other ace in the game.
So, but the thing is that he's not proactive. He's like always use reactive. Like you will never go like open game state like slam Zudo for 4 unless you're doing nothing and then you put a Mirage on top. But that's a different problem. If the opponent passed you 4, that's on them.
Well, okay, I don't want to spoil this, but Mirage costs 4 to Evo and was one of my picks today.
Yeah, but Tom, let's be real. Mirage costs 4 to Evo, but there's no scenario where you, unless your opponent is playing like, dark, the fucking Dark Dragons. Mirage is evolving for 4, and you will gain 1. Like he is coming down for 3 at minimum, unless you're playing into a really good Dark Dragons player, in which case.
When I was looking at Digimon, Mirage was actually one of the first ones where I was like, oh my god, he gives you as much memory as a mem setter, because like Takuya as the example, because this was my notes when I was coming up with ideas. It's like your opponent passes you 1, Takuya gives you 2 at start of turn, and then you swing in, he gives you 2. That's 4 memory. Mirage costs 4, so let's say you Evo for 4, he steals 2 because your opponent's 8 cards, and then they draw a card that's 2 more memory. He gives you the exact same amount. I'm like the generally deranged part of Mirage that like we'll talk about we'll finish the aces first, but I don't want to skip him because he's definitely on the radar.
Talk to them about Garuda Ace.
So I think inherently this card isn't as broken. It's the cards that are around it make the fucking cards make this card broken. So on play just plays a red tamer, right? It's pretty good. That's pretty good honor rate. And it pops
good.
And it pops.
It does have to be 4 cost or lower. It can't play the 5 cost
as well. But it's the fact that it's a card that then facilitates its own combo. It's its extension, its combo starter, and its own combo ender in the same card. Also, you can just play it in Galaxy, and it's full combo in Galaxy as well. So that's really funny. It essentially says your 4-cost tamer is now 3 costs because you Evo for 3, and you play the tamer, and you Digivolve, and then you make a 6, and then,
Diabolical card.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ancient
Like
Jumbo.
it is so good that it is one of those cards like, why would I ever It's like when you see all the Digicross decks, we're like, why would I ever play my memory setter for 4 when I can Digicross Shoutmon King version and play my memory setter for 3? Why would you ever play Sora for 4 when you can slam Garuda Ace for 4 and play Sora for 4? Also,
Now,
craziest removal spell ever. It would, like, back in EX5 when people would make Grace Nova and go, yeah, I'll protect. And they go, okay, Garuda. And you just go, ah, GG's, you got me.
I think like on Magma Angemon is like pretty good because it's like a one-time cash in on like recovery and like scales with like how big your recovery is for the DP minus. But I think that like Anjou is like Anjouwon Ace is like maybe better, maybe.
Do you think
And
the
this is
name
the thing,
matters?
How can the lingering 6K shrink ever beat 13 memory from Zwart defeat going to security? Right?
Because
like
you get like multiple
hypothetical,
recovery procs.
Burn Rev. Then you
Burn
get
Rev.
a -6
Burn
target,
Rev.
and then
But that's 4 memory and then however much the level 4 or lower costs. Like I guess that
No.
could be Lucamon and that's 14, but that's
Well, no.
still Zwart D.
Because like you usually because she gets to choose where she burns from to do the
That's
effect.
true. That's true.
And she also replaces security more often than not.
yeah, so she is
But she-
getting the recovery as well. So she's getting -6 that lingers, board, board wiping like ruin mode with Rev, and then recover your Zwart D. So like in theory, optimal, she can do all 3. And then
Yeah,
you steal
like, she
memory
has
with
the-
Kari. Well,
You have like more potential with like Anjumon Ace, but like individually, I would say like proactively Magna Angemon is like better, but like over the course of the game, Anjouwon is like better.
I don't even think that Magnet Angemon is proactively better because like he's one of those cards that like his shrink is incredibly diminishing. Whereas like Angelomon's hitting you for -6 every time. Yeah, sometimes it feels really bad to like lose a security, but you know, the fact that she replaces it. Whereas like how many times have you gone late game versus a yellow player and you've hit them down to like 2 security and they go Magnet Angemon to recover 1, you get -3 and you go, okay, and then kill them. Whereas like
think it's-
Angemon Ace, like that is like -6 is a very relevant number at any point in the game.
I agree. The thing with like Anjumon Ace is that like let's say the opponent like I don't know passes you to 4, right? They'll go like Rick in the back and Memset, or like they'll play like a 4 cost level 4, whatever. With Magna Angemon, you can play him for 4 to recover the 1 and then immediately answer that to like gain board control. And then you can put a level 6 on top that like let's say it's like a Seraphi, right? Like you then heal another 1 and then your DP -7. You're like up more security, whereas like the Anjumon, yeah, she burns for the 6, so they both answer the body. You're not getting the recovery, but then you can still convert it into a level 6 that would recover. So in like early game, they both achieve the same thing, but she doesn't get it's like you're only using half of her effect. Whereas like with Magna Angemon, you're getting like all of the benefits, like turn 1, turn 2. But then obviously like it scales worse. So it's like if we're saying 4 memory turn 1, turn 2, Magna Angemon is better. If we're saying 4 memory turns 3, 4, 5, 6, Anju is better.
Yeah, I guess also there's some credit to be said that, you know, rookie Magna Angemon did win Worlds.
Yeah. It's like, you know, the card, I think they're both incredibly potent. It's just, are we talking about like 4 memory at the beginning of the game, 4 memory like at the end of the game, you know?
Well, I think we're still applying game context to that, right? Like we're talking purely, completely hypothetical. You get it exactly how you want it. So when you have Anjouwon as best as she can possibly be,
she's better than Magna Angemon.
I don't agree because Magna Angemon can recover anything for free.
Okay, yeah, but so
And
does
anything
Angemon.
that can
If
be
you
recovered
want,
can do more than that.
yeah, but
so
Tom,
does
we do-
Angemon.
yeah, so does Angemon. Okay, I'm at 3. I burn 1, and then I recover whatever it is you want to recover with your Magna Angemon. Any response?
If your
It's more. It's
if your
bigger
scenario
number.
if your scenario is that like you're stacking Zwart defeat, she can do the same thing. She can go burn Rev, apply her own thing, and then recover the Zwart defeat. They do the same thing. She's just like
Yeah, if
she's
the
just
crux
better.
of the argument is recovery is broken, she still says recovery +1.
Fair enough. If you get to choose your exact scenario and it's not just like infinite healing forever, then yeah, she's better. I'll give you that. But I literally don't like the problem is recovery as a keyword is also infinite value. So like
Yeah.
we get to, like this is only going to keep happening the more of these we do. Where like, oh, it turns out like we haven't touched jamming yet. jamming is also hypothetically infinity.
I guess we do have to apply some game context to some of them just to kind of like have.
We
like,
didn't for the first 3, y'all. That's where this gets
yeah,
weird.
but that's because the first 3 we were working with really small
just-
numbers where we weren't having like, you know, potential.
James
infinite memory.
came up with 0 for game.
Yes, and I think that was a really interesting one. But like, I think and that's still context based though, because like you're the only time it comes down for 0 is probably when you're ending the game. Whereas that card does say 20 play cost.
That's what. But that's when we were like, oh well, you get it exactly as you want it, right? So it's like, if this is the only memory you spend, this action, what does it do?
Yeah, but I still think like there's still some sort of context because like you would only spend the 4 memory in a game state that would exist, like, you know, was it theory Digimon or whatever, you know,
Mental
any
chess Digimon.
yeah, like
Yeah,
anything.
my head is fully on like East Taskmaster. Like, how can you do this? Where like you make an actual 50 card OTK that's not has nothing to do with Digimon, but like it's just what the like mathematical value of card does.
Yeah, no, I think we're still coming at it from a game context because unless you are using these videos as like your backbone for Taskmaster, which case, what are you doing? Like if you're thinking it's like you have, like maybe you have a TK in hand, an Angelomon in hand, and a Magna Angelomon in hand, and we're just like, hey, what is probably the best for memory and kind of giving you context for them, you can kind of see like pound for pound what card you should be playing. So like the difference between a Magna Angelomon and an Angelomon, we've kind of said that like if you're playing for like maximum like mathematical like theory within the context of I'm sitting here with these 3 cards in hand and I need to pass 4 or whatever, what makes the most sense? If you're like that's kind of like the level of context. So there's still like relatively open game state, but just so we don't end up in like the so if my opponent has 4 sideways Ibanwumon on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna tap into Ancient Jambo again. I'm gonna activate his like kill spell. Jambo, tell them about Tyrannomon, BT15 Tyrannomon, and how insane that card is for Luga actually.
Oh yeah, it's a draw to. It's pot agreed. It's pot agreed that you can summon as part of your main combo, which then extends you out as part of your main combo.
Yeah.
So it gives you an alliance body. It gives you a defensive body as well if you need to be. And what you can just do is you can go Soul Luga, pitch 2 cards, play this. You go Tyranno effect to search deeper into your deck, and then discard the 6 you need. And then because you have full combo grave, you just go full combo. So essentially, you just give yourself a free alliance body as part of your main combo. And then if you really need it to be, it's a 4K blocker that you can spawn back constantly with stuff like the Dora Greymon from BT17 and no BT16, sorry. Yeah.
And Fenrir too.
Yeah, you play it off Fenrir, play it off Demon Castle, the 9 walls of Demon Castles. What are the fucking options called?
The timeshare Summer Kubota.
Yeah.
I love getting Jambo to talk about the decks that he hates the most. It's my favorite thing. Jambo, tell him about this card. Tell him about this card
about the
sucks.
format. This card doesn't suck. This card's very good.
Purple blockers are kind of like, because when black has a blocker, you're like, black with another blocker, eh? And then you get rid of it, and then it stays gone. Like when purple, you get rid of the blocker, 2 turns later, he's like, hey, what's up? How's it going?
And we draw 2 again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
him picking up
pretty-
Fame is diabolic, especially because
It's
like,
also that he discards,
yeah,
which you'd think is like a downside, but it's like, you know
No,
what?
it's
I think
exactly
I'd
what they wanted.
I want to trigger my egg effect. Evolve, actually. Thank you.
yeah,
All right.
Also he himself enables after a single Takamikazuki combo, just having him on the board enables a second Takamikazuki because Kobauchi insulates your entire combo in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that he pitches from hand is like if it was like analog or something where there's like, you know, of the 4 revealed, add 1, pitch 1, bottom deck the other 2, then I feel like this card might be a little bit more normal. But the fact that he has just full flexibility on like every like perfect scenario every time, it's like, you know, yeah, you pitch the combo piece, or even turn 1 where you're not pitching for combo and you go rookie Tyrannomon. If it's like Luga in the back, rookie Tyrannomon, it reveals the AG, you pick up the AG, pitch it immediately. It's like, GG's got him.
Yeah.
Miserable card.
Miserable card. I think like there's not like a ton of more like level 4s that are like sorry, 4 cost like guys that I can think of. I would say like Raremon, maybe.
Ooh. The
That's
format
like,
warper.
but I think it's like we never got to experience how good this card was because like nobody had it. So it's like I can be happy or upset about it because like you have to be rich.
Yeah, we just don't know.
I feel like this is like a Tommy and TLX special. I feel like you're like you love this card because of like I don't know, like what deck were you playing where like this card was like
I tried this for Deep Davis.
Oh yeah, the deck that never was. Yeah, that's why I think that's one of the other reasons. Like because the
Deep
one guy that
Davis.
was pushing it was
the guy got
ill.
sick at the end.
Yeah, I actually think if he was there, he won Worlds because he beat everything else in the room. But that's how it goes. Shouts to Deep.
Too much time around Ramon. Bad for your health.
Yeah, gets you sick. But yeah, you know, cards. The thing with Raremon is I think it's actually more valuable financially than it is in memory. And like it can't. Like there are so many cards where it's like you just like if we're gonna try and apply game logic to them, the Digimon have their thing and then it's over. Like if we're talking about like this is almost like when I learned about the concepts of card advantage and value in Magic when I was a kid. Like you just can't see something that does something once and goes like, oh well, for it to beat a mem setter, it has to be incredible. And like Veemon's good. And that's all he gets. And good won't cut it. That's the bummer. I have a feeling some of the other cards in here that might see some success, they've fallen off a little bit, but the accompanying DNA buddies in Aquilamon, Stingmon, and Armadillomon are my other 4-cost picks because they don't really cost 4 half the time. You can play them out for 4 stuff, like all of those to like actually encompass it, but they are like and were for such a long time the thing that you needed to DNA that like if you don't have them, you basically could not pursue the line. So I'm a fan. I think these cards have their place. They are like unique in that they're still kind of the only thing that does that purpose built. And then like they're not necessarily even tied to their own archetypes. Like Aquilamon just says yellow. Like you can do it with any of them.
Would Ankylamon technically be like of the free type 4-cost like slam and get exactly, you know, no memory shenanigans, just like that? Okay, I need to spend for memory. Is he like the best? Like, is his on play the best?
I actually think it might be Veemon. Veemon is nothing can die in a fight.
Yeah, that's fair actually.
Which is hypothetically like, you know, your opponent can if your opponent's entire deck is a fight, this card wins instantly. But it's complicated because, like, again, context-wise, that's the hypothetical perfect scenario for it. It does just get like, lol, cool card. Here's a 4-cost shrink.
Yeah.
But like, it's only as good as what we apply to it is the thing.
So is that like, are we applying that to the BT12 pieces?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna think. Is like that does say 4 play cost, but
they are like some of the best 4 money you can spend in Imperial.
This card, I touched on jamming before too. Jamming is also like if your opponent has infinite security Digimon that are bigger than you, this card is infinite value. So
I think the problem with this XV is that like, yes, you spend 4, but then you end of turn DNA like immediately. And did you really spend 4 if it, like, even ignoring the Stingmon, if it itself refunds 1 as part of like, I play for 4, oh, my turn ends, end of turn, gain 1. Like, is that a 4-cost play or is that a 3-cost play?
That's a 4-cost play. That card says 4.
Yeah,
that's
you still have to commit the memory.
I guess, but if like, it's like, for example, 5-cost Marcus is not a 5-cost Marcus, he's a 4-cost Marcus. Because he comes down.
No, it's a 5-cost Marcus.
He comes down for 5 and immediately suspends himself. He
costs 5 importantly because Garuda can't play him.
Sure, but I mean, if you're playing him off Garuda, it was 0.
Garuda,
but like,
yeah.
When you play the Marcus always goes sideways and he gains you 1. Like he is a 4-cost tamer. Nearly.
Yeah.
Always.
What if you're under a floodgate?
What floodgate stops? What floodgate stops memory game off of a tamers? Please explain
you
that.
You wouldn't want to suspend it. You wouldn't want to suspend it against Eosmon because you'd want to save it.
Chaos. Shut up.
DLC. That doesn't count. The card's not out yet.
What do you mean it doesn't count? Okay, Eosmon then.
Yeah,
Don't
EOS.
up-
You wouldn't
No,
suspend the
Manoa
Marcus
Bellucci
against EOS.
BT17 and Manoa BT6 do the
Yeah.
exact same thing
Oh,
to that
Manoa.
guy.
Okay, Manoa BT6. Like again, we're not doing like I have to redo my list a little bit because we're trying to treat it with gameplay. Manoa BT6 is on my original list because in a world where all the tamers have infinite value, Manoa says "fuck your infinity."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really funny.
in a game state where your opponent's suspending his tamers every turn and you have an Eos on the board, you swam this. They're not
You win the
suspending their
game.
tamers every turn.
Yeah. So Manoa was part of my original batch of like, oh well, this is infinite value. But if we're not just doing it that way, then we can skip Manoa.
Wait, one sec.
I just know that like Andrew has a contingent audience of like 17 Eosmon guys that are like, let's go every time. So I just have to give them the shout out.
I will say the context where
No, listen, I did look. There are other Argomons that cost a number that could be 4 that I would consider. Like if you suspend one tamer, Argomon BT17 level 5 is pretty good.
I will say that the context where like Marcus is actually 5 is like Royal Knights. Like Royal Knights uses Marcus time and time again as like an out to
Oh,
like
right, yeah,
play.
'cause they use it for the 3 drink, right?
They use it for the
Yeah,
strength,
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that.
Well,
I guess
wait,
technically you need a body on board, right?
Remind me again how much Queen Device costs.
Cost 4 and give us back any device.
That's
It costs
DLC.
3.
That costs
It
3.
costs 3.
Oh
King
no,
De-
I'm sorry, I was thinking of King Device.
Yeah,
I was
King
thinking of
Device is
King
cool.
King Device costs
Okay.
4.
Also, it's also
King
DLC.
Device
It's not
is the
real.
best. King
Sorry
Device
guys,
is the best form of
outing
Manoa.
myself as a
DLC.
sexist. I couldn't remember the queen.
It's not DLC if we know what the cards are.
But you know, who's to say whether it's actually, you know, untested?
Untested.
Happened.
Don't want to talk about cards that are not legal yet.
That's how we put these in a time capsule. So, you know, they come out for the champion when they come out. And then a month later, we were like, why did you talk about this? Wasn't out yet. Should have been a champion. So,
Yeah.
thank you for the comment. Marcio
Yeah,
didn't
nothing.
read it.
Engagement.
I did not read any fucking comments.
There are some Evo costs at 4 that I would like to talk about if you guys don't have any other on plays or whatever.
Hexablow.
Hexablow. Thank you, Jambo.
Hexablow.
Thank you, Jambo.
Hexablow.
Holy Hexablow.
I don't like to think of like. I never think of like evolving as like spending 4 memory.
But
Just
it is.
because they say.
Oh, yeah, because
Just
we're talking about like
Say
the
you're a
one
green
action
player,
that
I'll
costs
say you're a green
4.
Yeah, I am a green player. No, what I mean is like I thought that we were doing like things that you can cast or slam. Evolving is like, well, does Hexablow actually cost 4? Well, no, because a lot of the time you're gonna training into it. Like, you know, like
Yeah, but you don't have to.
you don't have to, but it's like the steps that you have to get to actually get to the Hexablow.
Yeah, my
But this
context is I push my 5 out of raising.
We are in fighting game training mode, and we are setting. I am promote level 5. My opponent is 4 aces underneath their guy. I win.
I cast from my hand Hexablaumon on top of my freshly promoted level 5 blue Digimon. Any
Polar
response?
Bearmon.
There were just like too many level 6s that cost 4 that like win
I
the
know.
game.
I
Yeah,
went
but how
through
good are
all
they?
of them last night.
I think Marcio was. Were you here for the 3-cost one?
No.
Oh, because the 3-cost one was where we realized that
Literally,
Digivolution.
it's just like it's
Like,
insane.
1 and 2 didn't matter, but 3 was
Yeah,
like,
3 cost Digivolutions can start. Like another one that's not like actually, I want to let Jambo finish talking about Hexablow because like I agree with him and I don't want to. Like,
I mean, talk about Mirage 2 while you're at it. Do 2 in
Yeah.
1, Jambo.
Okay, I think Hexablow is an okay card. I just don't think what it does is particularly healthy for the game.
Purple
But
player, purple hybrid
exact-
player, purple
for
hybrid player.
exactly hybrid decks, right? Because
And
it just says fuck off to hybrid, and that is it. But it's too generic, in my opinion. I think that's why it's so good, in my opinion, because
Oh.
you can just play it in a swap of 50 blue cards. Where I guess I'll put Hexablow in.
It
You play
is
in
a
Galaxy,
really
you play in
funny
Mirage,
card.
you play in Ice. Ice Snow's fucking bullshit.
yeah, it's really good for Ice now.
Yeah, like, but it's so funny that like you can make a Hexablow off the Skibbity. It has 0 sources, and it's still better than most board states.
It's so funny because it really like the floodgate on its own is, you know, incredible, but the removal of tame it's for 4 costs you get a floodgate that shuts down, you know, like a good 30 to 40% of the metagame. And it's non-suspend as well. It's like modern. It's like modern Floodgate. It's
Yeah.
not even like Sorai where the green players are still like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. It would be a real shame if I didn't attack with these like sourceless bodies. So it's like crazy modern Floodgate, Tamer hate, Source Strip, which I know Marcio bitched about Source Strip in the main episode, but Source Strip sometimes does take out protections that would keep a Digimon from getting flashbanged. It has Ice Clad, it's super unique battle thing that people just don't build around because, it's a fresh keyword. How many hits you for Sec +2, Sec +1, 12k DP as just a body? Like, he's a Floodgate that just goes, I'm a swing. I don't care. You could make a bigger body than me. Does it have more sources? I didn't think so. Bye. Yeah, it's diabolical card.
Mirage is still in the same.
Yeah.
Mirage is still in the same. You're still paying 4 for it, but most of the time it's never 4.
Yeah, that's the only problem I have with Mirage.
even without cheating, even without trainings and boosts and scrambles, it's still gonna most of the time be 2.
The thing is, right, we're just going to look at like every meta deck that has a 4-cost Evo like level 6, and it's like, well, that guy's pretty good because, well, that deck is meta.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I did. That's what I did last night, y'all. I have so many picks.
I wonder why it's meta. That's how like a meta game works. I don't know.
Would you guys
Tom,
like my
rapid
fast
fire?
five?
Yeah. Give us.
Gallantmon BT2 ends the game hypothetically. You Digivolve and then you burn 5 security and you win the game. Beelzemon X.
Sure.
Beelzemon X does the same thing on Digivolve. Black War Greymon BT8 pops 2 Tamers potentially, which again we've discussed how good those the start of main 1 memory kids are. So popping 2 of those is nuts. Popping a Mem Setter is nuts. Very good. All forces on here because like the name, like playing a blue Tamer card. This is not Garudamon. This is not play cost 5 Garudamon. If they get crazy down the line and they're like, here's a 12-cost Tamer that like is an Exodia win con, this card will need to be banned because BT11 All Force can play it for nothing. There's also sorry, I have my notes. Venus. I put Venus down. I feel like that's kind of obvious.
A valid pick.
Yeah, that's
I feel like
pick.
that's kind of obvious. I put down. Let me find everything else. Fanglong and Davis. That's just for me. And the last one that I was like, oh, this will get comments, is the 40 Evo Magnamon from Security, the ST17.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like
if they produce cards that are like hypothetically full of infinite colors, it's the best Source Strip Digivolve nightmare you've ever seen.
But like that card is not like it says that it costs 4 to Evo, but like it actually costs 3. Like I don't think there's a single deck that is using the Magnamon without
Armadillo Pals used it. Armadillo Pals used it and they paid for it.
But then they have like TK Cody and stuff, and like they reduce it.
It's literally just about like if I'm in the context where this thing can cost 4, it does the thing.
Yeah, I mean that is fair. I think that the problem for me is it's kind of like the Mirage thing where it has to be a fringe case in order for it to cost 4. Like Mirage is gonna cost 3 or better in 99% of your games.
Yeah,
which is why I find it really hard to count it as a 4-cost memory spend. Same way as Magnamon. Like in most fringe cases, like this guy evolves for 3. Maybe if he's being appropriated into another armor deck, he costs 4. Or maybe if you're like, this will one choke, I will pay 4 to evolve these.
If we're counting tagged evolutions as like a way to do it, then all of a sudden all of the level 7 aces start to get kind of crazy. Crimson Mode costs 4, and he really ends the game.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Marcus Shine Greymon Burst Mode Ace is just like goodbye your board.
I was actually thinking it came to mind Blitz Omni is probably something that should be put up there.
Yeah.
That is 4 cost.
I would, out of all these evolutions that yes, they say that they cost 4 on the card, I will accept Blitz Omni in the sense that like he actually wins the game. There's no theoretical like, I built up, it's like 4 memory and it actually doesn't even cost 4 because you're not playing the rest of the game out. It's like
But I think like that. I think the context matters, right? Like if you have to choose it exactly how you want, the card does great things for 4 and sometimes
Who would be
wins the game.
here for hours to go over every single good
This
level
is what-
6?
So this is how these videos normally work. So that's what I did last night. I literally spent an hour.
Yeah, I mean, but we do have to rein it in some ways, because if we go into infinite theory, then we don't actually make a video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk to him, Jambo.
I have a very like unique choice. All Force Veemon 0.
Oh,
Now,
that's
put
a
the camera
great
on me.
pick.
Put
I
the
can't
camera on
believe
me
I
real
forgot
quick.
him.
Put the camera on me real quick. All right. In the future, down the line, where they give a lot of more mill and a lot more ways of milling during the combat step, All Force Zero becomes I will mill my entire deck, I will shuffle my entire deck, combo deck. So the whole idea is that you have BT11 Arena and you have All Force Zero. All Force Zero, you declare an attack, you mill your entire deck, and then you go Arena effect to shuffle it back in, and then you unsuspend. And because you have Evade, you have infinite attacks if you can keep milling your deck throughout the turn.
Or, hear me out, you play hear me out, this is sick.
You say play a good deck. This isn't playing a good deck. This is spending hypothetical memory to take.
We can do this. We can do this.
It's a good.
We can do this. We can play. You guys remember Purple Base Mirage? We could play.
Of course.
We could play Purple Base All Force, and you go draw one, trash one, and then you go Waru Seadramon because it is blue. It's basically Juan Kun if you think about it.
Yeah.
And then there you go, Jambo. You could do your Timmy combo.
The worst bit is you don't even have to do that. You can still just run the full. You can still just run the full fucking Melga engine.
Yeah,
where
Garu
you just go where Garu, because that's what they were doing when like Bill Star was
true.
using it. They would just go all the way up. They'd hit you twice, and then they go the where X, and then they would reveal the level 6 that is actually the point of the game. You go, oh, that's what I was playing into.
Yeah.
If you didn't check security and find out the hard way that it was Bill Star, you didn't know until they started really draw one, pitch one.
I like All Force Zero as a pick because it is like very much the exact thing of like if you give it its context, you've won the game.
It is also really funny as well because it's like technically fewer resources than like the regular All Force one because you just need one arena. You don't have to have like Exodia in your hand of unrevealed 5
it's
painters.
Good now. Like I'm not gonna lie, that guy's been a one of every single All Force list I've ever made.
Yeah.
Because into grind games, it just says win.
Why can't they just errata that card so you can put All Force X over it? Cringe.
Oh, is it because his name isn't?
He's not All Force Veemon.
He's a manga character.
Yeah, it's a different guy.
They don't do drugs in the manga.
There's a reason that this guy hangs out in your drafts and not in your decks at locals.
It's because All Force is in his decks at locals.
Do it.
Yeah,
okay, do it.
Marcio shows up with Justimon. Jambo shows up with All Force Zero.
Whoa!
I don't want to play All Force though.
I don't want to play Justimon. What the?
Yeah, okay, no, okay. We have these like cool little ideas in our head. We don't want to actually do them, right?
This is all hypothetical.
It's all about the best of one scam. You use the best of one scam on a simulator. You upload the highlights and go, yeah, bro, this deck is the truth. Watch this best of one. Ignore how many games I played off stream. You don't know how many games I lost to get this footage.
Does Apocalypse cost 4, by the way?
No, he costs 3.
Yeah.
What?
What? I thought it was cooking. Did you guys do that one on the last episode?
Yeah, that was my second choice. There's a lot of
options.
I have a fun option to start with. Oh, actually, I have
DCD
two.
bomb. I'm gonna take your option.
DCD bomb is my actual.
Yeah. I do it.
That was go ahead.
No, you talk about DCD bomb.
DCD bomb. So Digivolve is hypothetically only as good as. Well, I want to talk about DCD bomb in 3 parts. First, Digivolve is as good as every Digivolution cost in the game. That is like the first baseline, right? Because you have to, again, to break something down by components, you have to start with how much does it cost to do the thing and how much does it cost to counter the thing. So the formula is if an evolution costs 4, DCD bomb pays for itself immediately because you've undone the value that they're getting, right? The second thing is by returning 3 cards with D-Brigade or Digipolice, these can be any cards. So you can essentially use this for like the nightmare for this is that you can recycle your eggs, which I think is really funny. But the actual like value this deck gets is that in that like it can do like recurring all of its floating pieces forever. So you basically never run out of a position where your board can't do its thing. And because it has this ability to do this deck can kind of go infinite, which is crazy. The nuttiest part is maybe that it's tagged because you can, you know, pick it back up and do it again.
Diabolical card.
Infinity value kind of thing. You know what I mean? Is there anything else you want to say, Marzio?
No, I knew that you were going to talk about these CD bombs. I just wanted to be like, haha, I knew what card you like. I got you. Whatever.
I have another.
I don't.
I have another crazy one. I think you know I like. There's Blast Fire.
Yeah.
Blast Fire is changed original DP to 3,000.
Yeah, big ups.
This card is one of the least future-proofed cards in Digimon, and one day we'll get itself banned.
Bro, it's not
I
even.
mean, I think
like,
it's good enough right now.
The scenario already exists.
It's good right now, and in a couple of years, it will be toxic.
It is toxic now. It's just that
It is
nobody
toxic,
besides Terry is
will be
playing.
toxic and a mainstay in yellow.
Yeah, but you
like
have
in
to
every
play
yellow.
Sakuya.
Yeah, you do just have to play Sakuya. Because right now,
Because
none of the yellow cards do like
have to
shrink
get
for playing an
judged
option. It will
By the
only be a
fanboy
Sakuya
TO,
card.
if you queue up with Sakuya, you're not exactly him.
He splashes you with holy water that's actually just a bunch of blast fires dissolved into sludge. He just goes, go on, my child. -3 them.
All right.
Yeah,
I
Blast
have
Fire
a
is my
card.
other pick.
Another
Yeah.
obvious
Have my-
choice is Kaiser Nail, by the way.
That was one of the options.
Yeah, I think the only thing that holds blast fire back obviously is like as a card is it doesn't have a security effect, but if it's coming out of security, you ain't paying for it.
Well, no, it does nothing out of security, and then you lose the game. But this is my world, and I get everything I want.
Yeah, but even then, even if it did have an activate main, you're not paying for the main, so it wouldn't be a full cost spend anyway. But yeah,
This card's evil. This card's like super evil.
big ups.
Hey, Kaiser Nail is as good as anything you can play.
Superior mode.
Yep.
You can play like blue flare Kaiser Nail.
I lost a game to Derek when these cards were getting revealed, where he put a Lucamon Satan mode under a Lucamon X, and then Kaiser nailed it out, and I just had to deal with Lucamon Satan mode and Lucamon X.
I'm so glad we finally convinced him that Tidal Wave for 7 to play 2 bodies isn't gonna happen, but Kaiser Nail for 4 play 1 body is reasonable. I'm so glad he's, reformed.
Okay, here's my pick. This is a pick that is very like this is the capsule in time pick. Okay, you had to be there, otherwise it didn't happen. Okay, it's like a CIA undercover operation. It's Foxfire. Have you guys read Foxfire?
Oh my.
Yeah.
Just a
Like,
reminder
this
that
card-
blue is Bandai's chosen color because the red version of this card is ass.
Yeah.
If you had a Gabubon soldier in your locals and you had to test against this like pile of ass that just like when I say pile of ass, it's like it just like you cast Foxfire and you like kind of win the game. Like BT15, like I can't even. It was insane. The card's insane. The card's like broken.
It's crazy to think that like none of these cards saw any daylight in Japan because APOC was running around and like Anubis, and they took those 2 cards out back and they were like, oh, actually this was one of the worst sets. Like, it's a contender for like worst sets of all time. It's just that nobody noticed.
BT15 is nothing but duds.
Yeah, nobody noticed because APOC was running around milling out 20 cards a turn.
Yeah.
It was like you'd go like, I'll swing my Gabumon with jamming, and then like I'll poke you for 1, and then I'll cast Foxfire for 4, pass the turn, and you can contest my rookie. Oh, next turn I'm just going to bond and like win the game. Like bond plus like red plugin, you know the vibes.
Yeah, this card was really funny. Yeah, I mean options that cost 4 is
Sorai.
Sorai is my other one. Sorai is contextually the best card in the entire game.
Do you hate Royal Knights?
Yeah.
Me too.
Here you go. So does Sorai. There are, I mean, the thing about 4-cost cards is that they get to start, this is where like, because Digimon is balanced around 3 memory, right? So it's
They
like,
are the good, like,
this is where it starts to be like, oh, this is your beginning of blowout cards. I'd like to also, again, not to just live in my world where I'm in training mode and I get everything set up the way I also want to. But when I was prepping last night, I set on Spiral Masquerade because Spiral Masquerade really says for each Digimon you have in play. And again, like if I'm getting, like, we don't have to lock this in as a perfect choice, but for what it is, in when I was prepping this, I was like, oh, well, in a hypothetical world where I have a yellow tamer and Diaboromon, this is Infinity Shrink. Because it's infinite Diaboromon tokens forever and everything will die.
It is a
And,
really
like,
funny card as well, because like even if you're not looking at ideal scenarios, it like if you just look at like the context that you will be playing it, like 4 cost to -12 is like you said that obviously you know the game's balanced around 3, which makes it a really interesting like standpoint where you can in theory, you know, if your opponent doesn't have a memory setter and you know you go to 3, you push up, you spend 4, you choke them to 1, and you do -12 off of like a 3-body board is like the 4 being so low makes it such a like efficient memory investment for some of these cards. Like spending 7 to pop a body is, you know, it hurts to drop 7 to pop a big guy. But if you got 20 cards in the trash and you spend 4 to pop that same guy, you feel pretty good. Like the
Yeah.
4 being so low makes like sometimes it means the effects aren't crazy powerful, but sometimes it makes the effects feel more powerful. Like
Yeah.
what is removal based on how much resource you gave them to replace the thing you just shot dead?
Yeah, I just purely off the back that it could be infinity, it made me laugh forever. My last really fringe one, I like obviously like Revelation is kind of capped at the moment, but like it could
Mega
get there
Digimon
maybe.
Assembly.
Oh yeah.
It's Startling Thunder.
Oh, I had that one on
I
my.
fucking love this card, man.
It's bounce at level 4. If you have a Digimon with Jellymon in the name or in the Digivolution cards, return a Tamer to the hand. Again, in a world where mem setters are infinite value, this card is stop infinite value.
I feel like Jumbo was a jelly player at some point now.
I
It
thought
was-
this car was crazy.
Yeah.
I
'cause
like convinced myself this car was insane.
do you remember when I used to bring Jellyforce to locals back before BT11? Before we got a good all force, I was running the BT3 one. I would run Jellyforce engine, and you would just sometimes you would just run Tesla beatdown, and you would just tell
Yeah.
if you weren't sure about what your next play was, or you know you got your 2 swings or whatever, you would just go, fuck off your memory setter, and they would just have to play it back. You just bought yourself exactly 1 turn as you give them 1 memory, and they're like, well, I don't really have an action I can do, and I don't want to pass you 4 like the exact memory, so I guess I'll put my TK back down. You go, man, that's crazy. Swing, swing, Starling Thunder. I love this card.
Funny card.
About to make me dust off that Amphimon again just to resolve it.
Yeah. There are crazy ones though, but I feel
think,
like those are most of my nutty choices.
The last like thing I'd maybe want to touch upon is like, is Pride Memory Boost anything?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I think the fact
Oh,
that it can play
no.
aces is kind of fucked up.
But like, there's no black aces that.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
Yeah, I don't actually think there
They
are
had
black
to balance
aces.
them around this card. Like
Yeah.
Savage on Ace is a 5
Plus
card.
5, yeah.
This card.
But he has an ESS. He has an ESS.
But they haven't printed the black one because of this card. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a pretty valid point that like
One day they will. One day they'll print like a D Brigade level 5.
A
that
Dark
costs-
Knight Mon Ace.
They'll swip up.
yeah, what's crazy is they did print a D Brigade ace, and they were like, let's just make it a level 6 just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
7 costs, by the way. Oh,
Yeah, that card's
Okay.
insane.
Yeah.
All right. But I think it's like we can say that like all the aces are like incredibly bang for their buck, even if you know there's
And Metal
for
Greymon.
for every and for every Zudomon there's a Metal Greymon.
Yeah. God, there's a Metal Greymon. Oh, the other, I didn't know how to quantify these. But one thing we'd missed when we started talking about, like, we discussed briefly, and I rewatched the old episodes to get ready for this. And one
Yeah.
thing we discussed in briefly getting ready was we didn't know how to talk about Cross 7 Superior mode.
I'm
And
not doing
I still don't think we can, but I think we should specially talk about cross tamers. So Taiki, Kiriha, Nene, the new Nene mem setter. I like we didn't talk about them as mem setters. I don't personally think they're the choice, but I know somebody will mention them because like, well, that costs whatever you want it to cost, and it's like okay. But Taiki and Kiriha are the two, and Nene now actually, pardon me, Nene from 2.0.
Or Kiri Nene.
All of those.
I feel like Kiri Nene is
any of
actually
them.
maybe better than
It had-
memory
Well,
setter.
Kiri Nene just has to do tags, right? The advantage. This is messed up. I had to reread this. Taiki has to do crossheart. Nene has to do her tags, but Kiriha just does.
Yeah.
Because he's
looked at
old.
him. Yeah, because I looked at him for Bagra, because he's also your blue source for
Yeah.
Kaisernail, so you would be able to load the Darkness Bagra under something and then just Kaisernail it out.
Even in like BT10, like crossheart, like you played like one Kyria because like it was like your 5th Digicross tamer.
Yeah.
And a memory setter.
Yeah. I don't know. This felt like a place to give it an honorable mention, just because like I know we still haven't worked out what to do with the cards that cost whatever we want them to cost.
Can I just say that like I think Blue Flare's the doggy deck, and I can't wait for people to build it and then just lose with it. Thank you for the free win. I'm allowed to hate Blue Flare.
It is definitely a casualty
Behind
of the
the paywall,
2.0,
dude.
2.5.
Yeah, we're behind the paywall. Unless we're not, because you weren't a channel member. Lol. Become channel member. It's good. And
By then, you already know that this deck is doggy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that this deck is getting launched in the same set as like the BT20 stuff. So even if there was like any amount of like
I do think it's
fringe,
funny that they have to be like but Royal Knights.
yeah, like any amount of like fringe scenario where like the Blue Flare would be able to succeed, they were like, no, not in the real region. It won't.
Good luck, NA, though. I know they hate
Regions.
Mirage there, and they.
Oh yeah,
instead
every
just,
time I go to NA, I hear about Blue Flare.
so I'm sure
There's
they'll
just
figure
always
something out.
one.
I don't get it. I just don't get the. That's a separate video.
Hey, how much is what's it called? How much is that Greymon to hard play?
I can say right now, if we do the best 5 memory to spend, I mean, the obvious answer is it's Blazing Memory Boost, but you know, you'll get that talk in that video.
Yeah, don't you worry. 7 is so interesting because 7 was like so obvious when I started this series. I'm like, I've got number 7 locked in. We just got to make 6 videos to get to that point. We've taken so long to get to that point that 7 actually might be a contested video.
So many things. It's so hard. Like from 4 onwards, this gets so difficult. Like there are so many good cards in here that I didn't include because I was like, well, they're just less infinite value.
I think that's why we have to kind of establish that like infinite value can't necessarily be our only like point for it, because some of these cards get like when we started the series and didn't have the full lines in, we were also playing with much smaller memory counts. So like the amount of, you know, infinite value you get off of a 1 or 2 card like thing didn't exist. Whereas like now you start getting to the funky numbers and you know, spending if you ask some people, evolving for 3, evolving for 4 is spending 7 memory, and you drew 2 cards.
Yeah, because it's best 7 memory, not best card for 7.
Yeah, what is the 7 play cost of all time? This is a solid list. The one last thing I think that we do want to just talk about is just options that cost. Get the word Greymon out of there. I was scrolling through it, and I did see something that did make me laugh. Where is it? Did I just go to 3 and 4? I meant to go 4 and 4. Fellas?
Okay.
I thought about it.
Yeah, Megiddo Flame is funny because there are actually reasons deleting your own guy would win you the game too. So it's like, it's context based. I'm sure I can concoct a reason that this 4 memory is the best 4 memory. I just don't think it can ever beat Spiral Masquerade or Sora.
God, the reason I'm playing is because like I don't want to pay 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked at like MDA as well, but
It's like
all of this card.
Yeah, this card's tight. There are so many
like
options in
infinite
Tamers,
scaling.
man.
This shit has infinite design scaling.
yeah. I think if we were lazier and we took a little bit longer for this video to come out, maybe this card would be on the list. But I think as it stands,
I'm just triple checking based on
cute.
what you wrote down. There's only one other tamer from my short list I did that isn't on there. Can I share that last tamer card?
Go on.
There's Zenith. Zenith is
Oh,
essentially
yeah,
he is
that's
essentially another analog man, but his Digivolve 1 is again like the value of Digivolve is kind of hard to quantify, but he's also like deck recursion. So like he does a lot of things that we were discussing in terms of like, oh well, this makes it great value for memory. And he does cost 4 because you can't play him off everything. Because there's nothing in the archetype that supports Zenith yet. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. I guess we'll see once we get a Snatchmon that free plays this guy or something.
The only space they haven't explored yet is like give this deck an egg that says when you evolve to Destromon, if you don't have Zenith, play a Zenith. So I can use my promos or whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway, I don't know.
This
We'll
was a
see.
fun one. We might, instead of like narrowing it down to one or cards, I kind of like the almost assembling like your best 11. We're going to the World Cup with the forecast squad. Who we putting on the team? Who's on the bench?
We're doing it's like a FIFA Ultimate Team. It's like my squad
Yeah.
versus your squad.
Okay, who's Ronaldo? Who's the Ronaldo for this team?
So the Ronaldo, the best form memory you can
Wait,
spend in the entire game.
Sudoma.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's-
Zudo. It's Zudo, like by a mile. It's like the best card.
Misplay for game fan artist. Can I get Portuguese
Ronaldo.
Portuguese Pseudomon?
Pseudomon.
It's
He's a big fan.
like there's like so many Ronaldo memes. It's like Ronaldo in the robe, like smiling like that.
Yeah.
Or like when he like goes to receive the award, it's just like starts like shaking like all the other aces. It's like I'm him.
Yeah, banger pick. I love that.
All right, yeah, another good Boko. If you enjoyed seeing this and you're like, damn, they missed so many cards that are out but weren't out when we recorded it, you should become a champion member. If you're an ultimate or champion or ultimate, thank you for all of your support. Hope you enjoy all of this and are happy to see us go back to things like this. Thanks for tuning into the podcast as always as well. I don't know. Yeah, thanks for coming again, Jumbo.
You want to tell the people in February anything, Jambo? You want to market manipulate a little bit?
Oh,
Buy Royal Might bulk.
yeah. Fucking buy Examon alts because that's gonna be good. I think people are sleeping on it.
I don't. Jumbo, you have the power to convince 1,000 nations, and you're right half of the time. I don't know if this is that half that I'll believe you, because you almost got me with Barba. You almost got me with Barba. You almost did.
You know it was a joke, right? You just believed me.
No, I know. It's like, God forbid we play fun decks at locals. Ah.
Yeah, you just willingly ingested poison.
But it's gonna make me so much stronger.
I'll have to make them discard.
Also, yeah, if you're watching this in February, hopefully the Shoutmon video is out because that shit ain't coming out in January because I still got. I'm trying, but it will be out publicly by February. You better have liked that video. Like this video if you made it this far. You better have liked that video as well and sent it to like at least 3 people. Bonus points if one of them is Cristiano Ronaldo. But yeah, post it on Reddit. Be really, really annoying and help me set up this series because it's taking a lot of fucking time. And by the time you're seeing it, probably already working on the second video. By I mean we.
Yeah, me rendering out things now. It's a little team, guys.
Yeah, Jambo, I need you to start. You know what? Cheeky leaks for the champions that get to know and ultimates that get to know about these ahead of time because hopefully the Shoutmon video will be out in time publicly by then. The next video is Bushi Agumon, so I need Jambo to start adding to the damn stats document so I can find out about. Yeah, and that one card has gone crazy. Marcio was telling me about demonic combos I didn't know existed, like Cherubimon. So I need you, old men, to be in that document writing the forbidden script.
I will give you first-hand Bushi knowledge right now. You've never experienced true joy till you're playing BT5 Yellow Green Rakurish. You've just had a drawn long out game. Your opponent's like, he can't kill me. There you go. Yeah, I'll Blinding Ray. Go to 5. I'll play Bushi. Tap for game.
Yeah. So you should fill out the document.
Okay. I'll get.
You should
I'll get
fill out the
Sweatshop.
comment section.
I'll get
Comments.
Sweatshop working.
Yeah, I'm assembling the Misplay for Game sweatshop, so you should
to the
fund.
lab.
You should fund that operation. But yeah, if you're seeing this publicly, big thank you to gang. I don't know how many subs will be on by then. Join the Discord if you haven't already. You'll find out when these videos come out a month early, and then be unable to click them for a month unless you become a champion. I haven't figured out how to stop the bot from doing that, but yeah. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Baba booey bye.
Bye bye bye.
Bye bye bye.